Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all of you on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya School Complex Association for today's workshop on coding across curriculum. Innovative Classroom, a division of Crazy Holidays in partnership with Champions Inc., will be presenting today's workshop along with hands-on experience for all the participants. We are having Ms. Mala Bankal, Mr. Vishnu, Miss Amita, and Miss Payal, who will be taking up the presentation today on coding across curriculum for all the teachers from standard 6 to 10. Yesterday, we did have workshop for standard 1 to 5. It was so very exciting. We had a huge number of participants and they're really happy the way the workshop was conducted with the hands-on experiences. So I'm sure many of you would have passed on the feedback to you all. Today also we have lined up an experiential workshop for all of you. May I request all the participants kindly mute yourself. See, as adults, as grown up, we need to be conscious of what we are doing. Please mute yourself, both video and the audio. You can put in your questions in the chat box. We will take up the questions towards the end. And if there is time permit, we can also ask, I'll make you unmute. You can ask the questions then. So please mute both audio and video. Towards the end, I will be pasting the feedback form in the chat box and you'll be asked to fill up the feedback form based on which you will be receiving your e-certificates. So please be attentive. Please be focused on your mute first. Please mute yourself because otherwise it will disturb it. It gives a hindrance to the persons who are conducting the workshops. So we are all here taking up the time out from our busy schedule. Let our session be very useful for us. So I thank Mr. Santosh and Miss Annie for coordinating with Bangalore Sahodaya in organizing this workshop. Thank you so much. Over to Mala.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon to everybody. I would like to begin by thanking Manila ma'am and Bangalore Sahodaya for giving us a platform to present. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me begin by introducing myself. I'm Mala Bankal, the CEO of Champions Inc. And I have been in various leadership positions in the IT industry. The biggest challenge in the IT industry, as we find, is it's very difficult to find students who are job ready and who are proficient coders. So this is the genesis of Champions Inc., wherein we are trying to bridge the fundamental gap between the industry and the requirements in the industry. So let us get back to the presentation. So today we'll be discussing regarding coding and why do we need it across the curriculum and how can we introduce interesting coding in the secondary years. So before that, I should actually thank you all for an overwhelming response for yesterday's presentation. And we will continue in the same league today by discussing why exactly we need to teach coding. So coding is essentially a language. It is no different from mathematics, English, Hindi. So it develops cognitive abilities of a child. Coding also improves problem-solving capabilities. So what students do is they decompose a problem or a complex problem, they break it down into smaller parts and then they solve each problem separately. So that automatically improves their problem-solving capability. Coding improves creativity as well.
White Hat Junior setup.
Can you kindly mute, please? Coming back to this point that coding improves creativity, coding is a means of expressing oneself. So it actually empowers It empowers children to create. So imagine a scenario wherein instead of playing, playing video games and all, children are creating their own games. So they get into the mode of creating things, researching, thinking, creating. Children can create their own websites, they can create their own apps, they can create their own games, animations. So it brings about a different dimension in a child entirely. Also, coding improves logical thinking capability. Now, logical thinking is nothing but thinking out of the box. So instead of a rote learning method, if a child can actually think about for a single problem, how he can have multiple solutions to a single problem, that would automatically increase his thinking capability. Coming to these next 2 points, coding is a 21st century skill and coders are in great demand. Let us see how. Now, here are a list of the top IT companies. As you all know, India is one of the largest hubs for global IT MNCs, and we have more than 1,200 IT centers in India itself. So the technologies currently which are in demand are artificial intelligence, data sciences, artificial augmented reality, virtual reality, full stack, etc. But all of these fundamentally require the knowledge of coding. So it is very important to introduce coding as a part of our curriculum or computational thinking as well. Now, if you see the average fresher salaries, it ranges between 4 to 8 lakhs per annum. So IT companies are one of the highest paying industries. Now, let us see this chart in detail. We did a market research and we figured out that there would be around 5 million jobs per year in the 21st century. And most of them, more than 50% of them will be in the IT industry. But another study also reveals that most of our Indian engineers who are graduating year after year, either they are not exposed to coding because they graduate in various streams like civil engineering, industrial engineering, production, etc. But since IT industry is the major employer, they try to move into that. So they again start reskilling themselves. Or even if they have taken up computer science as the background, since they are exposed to almost around 2 years of coding in their professional careers, they do not have that confidence. They are not job ready and they're not ready to code. So this is one of the main reasons why we need to introduce computational thinking and coding right from school years itself. Now let us look at this, why coding, how do we make it interesting in secondary years? So as per research, a child's brain develops fully by the age of 9. So before that, the fundamentals, all your fundamental languages like maths, English, Hindi, they are introduced in the primary years because they are fundamentals, right? They are foundations. Even coding needs to be introduced in the primary years because after that, it's decision making. The higher order thinking skills of a child are already in and you need to exercise those now. So after the age of 9, it's decision making. So thereafter, you need to introduce them to complex concepts. You cannot introduce them to basics of coding after 6th standard onwards. So we need to start explaining complex concepts, but to make it interesting for a child, we need to introduce a different dimension, which is called as GUI based tools, graphical user interface based tools. Because finally they are children. We have worked with the child psychologists who have told us that children like color, shapes, they like to play, they like movements. So that is an essential component of a GUI based tool. So initially you have to introduce those complex concepts through GUI based tools and gradually transition to terminal based coding. But before all this, we need to build problem solving capabilities like introducing coding maths, like discrete structures, linear algebra, Boolean algebra, which are the foundations of coding. And algorithms, the stepwise thinking, the flowcharts, the foundations of how to code. All of these through graphical user interfaces. We can definitely do it because you can introduce binary arithmetic also. There are some games which you can introduce while the child plays and he can solve problems. He can do conversions. So going to the next point, coding is the only subject which is foundational as well as vocational. Foundational because it is equivalent to another language like maths, English, Hindi, and vocational. It should be introduced as a vocational subject at least because IT company it's got a huge demand. There's a huge demand over there, and we will be meeting that demand. So we will be supplying job-ready students. So that's the reason why this is very important as a vocational subject as well. Now, if you see the National Education Policy 2020, it states that children pick up languages extremely quickly between the ages of 2 and 8, which delivers cognitive benefits to younger students. Coding is nothing but a language. It is definitely important to teach coding foundations or introduce it in primary years. But even in secondary years, we can fine-tune it to introduce a GUI dimension to it. NEP focuses on experiential learning, more or less, having a storytelling-based pedagogy. In schools, to a certain level, this is already addressed. As in, we as teachers take students to museums, field trips. So it is definitely being taken care of. But we can introduce a different dimension on screen while they are coding by introducing programming constructs through GUI tools. Now, mathematics and computational thinking is another focus area of NEP. Why computational thinking? Now, computational thinking teaches a child to decompose a problem, difficult concepts into simpler concepts, and then pattern recognition. So the child will be able to actually, find the differences, the patterns in the problems that he sees. Then another thing is abstraction. So he focuses on the real thing and primarily on algorithms. So a stepwise way of thinking gradually. And all this should be made very enjoyable and engaging. So we can use GUI-based tools definitely year on year to promote computational thinking. And NEP also focuses on critical thinking, higher order thinking capabilities, problem solving abilities, teamwork. All this is already a part of school curriculum. But as far as NEP, now we are going to focus more also on the computational thinking, higher order thinking skills, and algorithms. As per NEP, focuses on creating fun-based learning. This you can achieve by block-based coding, GUI tools, introducing these in the secondary years as well, and then go on gradually to terminal coding. Also, the focus of NEP is on vocational training. So coding is definitely the choice here for vocational training, considering there's a huge demand in the IT industry and we need to fill this particular gap. So we have developed the Champions K1 to K12 coding stack. These are a few of the technologies which are being used right from 1st standard to 10th standard. Year on year, where we introduce GUI-based tools to improve their, to introduce computational thinking and to introduce terminal-based coding thereafter. And first, we start off with logical and critical thinking for the primary years. From class 5 and 6 onwards, we introduce coding maths. Thereafter, we go on to algorithmic thinking. After that, we get on to computational thinking, GUI-based coding, and then finally, the terminal-based coding is in the end. So it is important that a student builds up on his problem solving and thinking capability before even he gets on to coding. So in 6th grade, how do we support the secondary curriculum? In the 6th grade, in all the grades, 6th grade onwards, we address coding maths, but in a child pedagogy manner. So we have brought down complex concepts down to children's level. And algorithms, algorithmic thinking, computational thinking. Now 6th standard, they are experts in Python. The reason is we start off from 4th standard itself. We start Python as a GUI-based tool, using GUI-based tools right from 4th. They take at least 3 years to internalize the concept and to actually come out with their own solutions. So 4th, 5th, and 6th, we focus on Python. 7th standard onwards, we introduce gradually JavaScript as a language, but through block-based coding tools, and children create their own games. It's fun for them. And Java, we introduced object-oriented programming concepts and Java very gradually using GUI-based tools, and then they graduate to terminals. 8th standard also, we start with OOPS concepts through GUIs and advanced Java concepts. 9th grade, we continue with OOPS and Java API level. So we are increasing the complexity, as you see, year after year. So a student will be actually expert in Python by 6th standard and expert in Java by the 8th standard, and by 10th standard, since he would have worked on application level Java coding, he would be job ready. So this is what I had for you. If you have any inquiries or any you want to have some discussions with us, you can actually contact our partners, Innovative Classroom. You can contact Mr. Santosh, Mr. Georgie, Mr. Johanan, or Annie. This is the team of Innovative Classrooms and Crazy Holidays. So with that, I would like to hand it over to Vishnu to start off the session. Please have a good time.
Yeah. Should I share the video, ma'am?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. I think it is visible for everyone.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Can everyone mute themselves? Request all to mute themselves.
Thank you, Vishnu.
Thank you, ma'am. You can stop share your screen. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. First, I would like to thank Manila ma'am for giving us this opportunity to present for such big forum. Let me introduce myself. Myself, Vishnumurthy Bhatt. I'm the operations manager of Champions Inc. So Mala ma'am has given you a brief on why coding is crucial for students in 21st century. So now in this session, live session, I'll give you a brief on the necessity of introducing graphical user interface programming for a primary student. Let me share my screen. Just give me 1 minute. I hope everyone are able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Block-based programming or graphical user interface programming is an event-based programming. So with the help of this, a child can read the code and develop a programming mindset before he gets into terminal level programming. So it is a very block-based tools are user-friendly tools, and we don't need to learn complex commands to do coding in block-based programming. Child pedagogy. Child pedagogy is nothing but an intermixture of games, animations, and coding. So introducing block-based programming with child pedagogy influences a student to build an interest towards programming. Let us start with program and programming languages. In our daily life, we perform many tasks from dawn to dusk. We complete our tasks in a step-by-step manner, in a proper sequence. Similarly, programming is nothing but a stepwise instructions given to a computer to perform set of operations. So the computer takes the instructions from the program and perform the operations. So the language used to write the program is nothing but programming language. So in this live session, we will take you through one of the block-based tool used for class 2 and class 3, which is called Scratch. Scratch is an interesting software designed by University of MIT. Scratch, it's an interesting software for creating games and animations. I request people to mute themselves. Yeah. Scratch is very easy to learn and use. So instead of typing commands in the terminal programming, in Scratch you can just drag and drop blocks of code. So it is easy to run on it is flexible in any operating systems like Windows, Mac, and Linux. So this is a link for Scratch online editor. I'll paste this link in the chat box. So the people who want to do a live session, a live interactive session with me, they can go to this link. I'll just stop share and I'll share that link. So I've shared the link in your chat box. You can just click on that and you'll be forwarded to that homepage. So I'll share my homepage. Yeah. So just paste that link over here or type scratch.mit.edu. I hope everyone are following my instruction. You can even split your screen and do it with me. Yeah. So before going into, then click on start creating. Everyone just click on start creating once you have been into that website. So I hope everyone are following my instructions. So once you click on start creating, you will be forwarded to this page.
Excuse.
You will be forwarded to this page. Yeah, who is this?
Sir, actually, I'm not able to see the link in the chat box.
Okay. I'll share it again. Yeah, yeah, I think
in the chat box it is there, visible.
Yeah, please scroll up. Yeah, continue, Vishnu, please.
Yeah, okay. I'll share again. So before getting into hands-on session, I would like to show you a few projects we can design using that block-based tool. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yes.
So these are the few
The
games
screen
which we
is
design.
visible, but the link is not visible in the chat box, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Amita,
We
can
are
you
not able
please
to.
put the link? Yeah, we'll put the link, please. Amita or Payal, can you just please put the link in the chat box?
I have just joined.
yeah, I've done it again. Yeah, you can go to that link. Yeah.
No, sir, we are not able to.
Sir,
Yeah.
I think it's not
You put
coming
it
to
for
my.
public you put. I think it's
Yes, sir.
private.
Now it came.
It's visible. Yes, yes.
Okay. So these are a set of games and animations you can design using Scratch. I hope my screen is visible for everyone. So I'll just play this. This is a baseball game which we can create using Scratch. So we discussed something regarding child pedagogy. So this is what child pedagogy means. If we introduce games and animation along with coding, a primary student will be influenced to learn more of programming. So this is a story which we have created. This is very similar to Sleeping Beauty. So if a primary student is introduced to such tools and the basic concept of coding, he can create wonderful, innovative games and stories. There's another game, Snake Game, which will train our students. So I hope everyone have opened their online editors. Yeah. Okay. So I request everyone to mute themselves. So let us start a hands-on session. Okay. So this is the online Scratch online editor. So you have various animated tools you here. I'll just give you a brief on each one of them. So I think everyone are following me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Vishnu, go a little slow. I think there is in the message in the chat box a little fast. So go a little slow so you'll be able to catch up.
okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Thank you.
Sure, okay. Yeah, I'll show this again. Okay. So paste that link which has been provided to you in your chat box. So this is the home page, and now click on start creating. So I hope everyone have followed till here. Yeah. So this is the Scratch online editor where we do animation and games using programming. So there are many animated tools available over here. I'll give a brief on each one of them. I think everyone are following me. Yeah. Yeah. So this cat which you can see is the graphical character or not, or it is called a sprite in Scratch. So we give instructions for this cat.
Share your
Can you share? Can you share, Vishnu?
Yeah. Okay.
Your
There's a
screen is not
problem
shared.
with this. Yeah. Yeah. I hope everyone are following me. Yeah. So this is a Scratch online editor where we do our programming and create games and animations. So I'll give a brief on each one of the tools which we have over here. So before getting that, yeah. In your left, you have a cat character. I think it is visible for every one of them. This, yeah, this cat is called sprite. It's a graphical. Everyone can mute
that we
themselves.
are there.
Yeah. This graphical character is called sprite. So using this graphical character, we'll design our games and animations along with programming. So I request everyone to follow my instruction. At your bottom right corner, you have an option called choose a sprite. I'm repeating it once again. At your bottom right corner, you have a choose a sprite icon. Click on that. I hope everyone have followed me. Click on choose a sprite icon on your bottom right. So this, you have wide variety of sprites available for you to work on in Scratch environment. So we have different characters ranging from animals, peoples, fantasy, dance, music, and so on. So now let us select a character. So I will select ballerina. So I want every one of you to select ballerina. Click on ballerina. I hope everyone have followed my instructions. Go to your choose a sprite and click on ballerina. So you have selected a sprite right now. You have to, just give me 1 minute. So we have selected two sprites. One is ballerina and one is cat. Now let us delete one sprite from this. At your bottom right corner, I think you can see there are two sprite options available. Click on cat option. Click on cat option and select delete icon. Click on your cat option and delete your cat sprite. I think everyone are following me till here. Yeah. Okay. So now this is sprite. This is all about sprite. One more important thing, for doing any animations, we have to change the number of frames. That's the concept behind any animation. So at your top left corner, you have code, costumes, and sounds. I hope everyone are following me. At your top left, you have code, costumes, and sounds. Click on costumes. At your top left, click on costumes. So as you can see, we have different costumes available for ballerina. So just by changing these costumes, we'll do a small animation in this session. So you can even edit your sprite as you wish, but right now I'm not doing it. So you have different costumes to work on. And now I want everyone to click on code again. On your top left, click on code. Okay. So this is all about sprite. The area behind the sprite is called stage. So this is where we put our sprites and do an animation. The area behind the sprite is called a stage where we do our animation. Okay. Now at your left corner, you can see there are certain blocks like motion, looks, sounds, events, control. These blocks are nothing but block codes, or it is called block palette in Scratch. So block palettes are responsible for giving instructions for our sprite. So if you want to do programming in Scratch, you have to use these block palettes. So every block palette has its own action, set of actions. As we have seen that GUI coding is an event-based coding. So every block has a certain events. So click on your motion block. I want everyone to click on the motion block. I hope you can see move, turn, go to some position, glide. These are all motion instructions. So using this, you can give movement instruction for a sprite. I want everyone to mute themselves. Yeah. Drag, move 10 steps onto the screen. Once again, click on your motion block and drag, move 10 steps onto your screen. Now change the parameter to 100 and then click on move 100 steps. I hope everyone are seeing that my sprite is moving from this position to 100 steps forward. So this block is responsible for movement of a sprite certain number of steps. You can delete that block just by dragging it to your left corner. So we have a wide variety of motion blocks available. Now let us get into looks block. Click on looks block. Looks block is responsible for the action or changing of costumes for your sprite. It decides how your sprite looks. So I want everyone to click on looks. I think everyone are following me. Click on your looks. On your right corner, click on looks. There you can see a next costume block. Click on looks. Scroll down, you will find next costume block. Drag it onto your white screen. I hope everyone have followed me. Click on looks and drag next costume onto the screen. So what does this does? Let us see. So if you click on that next costume, your sprite animation is costumes are changing. I hope everyone can see this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So your sprite animation is changing according to this block. So these blocks are responsible for changing the animation or the costume of your sprite. I request everyone to mute themselves.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us see sound block. So animation without a sound will not look good. So if you want to add any sounds or background music to your animation, you can do using this sound block. Next, coming to event block, as we have discussed, GUI programming is an event-based tool. So here, I want all of you to drag your green flag clicked onto your screen. Once again, I'll repeat it. Go to your events block and drag when green flag is clicked onto your screen and attach it to your next costume. I hope everyone are following me. Yeah. And now at your right corner, you can see a green flag. Above your stage, you can see a green flag. Click on it. So instead of clicking on the code, if you click on this green flag, you can see the change in the instruction. I hope everyone are following me. Good. Now let us see control blocks, what it can do. So control blocks control the instructions of the sprite. So it is like a program, it controls the instruction of your sprite. So indirectly it controls the sprite, but it controls the instructions given to it. So now I want every one of you to click on control block. I want every one of you to click on control block. I want everyone to mute themselves. Yeah. Click on your control block and drag repeat 10 steps onto your screen. Click on your control blocks and drag repeat 10 steps onto your screen. So I'll just say why I have dragged this repeat 10 steps. So when I click my green flag, every time I click my green flag, it is changing the costume. It is not changing continuously. It is changing when I am selecting that green flag. But I want it in a different approach. I want it to repeat the costume by itself at a single time. So follow my instructions carefully. Drag this next costume inside the repeat 10 block. Drag your next costume in your repeat 10 block. I hope everyone are following my instructions. And then paste it onto your green flag. Drag your next costume onto your repeat block and paste it onto your green flag. Now click on the green flag. I hope you can see there's a change of costumes very fast. So animation, for every frame there should be a time frame so that we can see the animation properly. For that, I want every one of you to click on your control block and select wait 1 second onto the screen. I hope everyone are following me. Click on your control block and drag wait 1 second onto your screen. And now attach it inside the repeat 10 block. I hope everyone are following me now. Click on your control and drag wait 1 second inside your repeat 10 blocks. And now click on your green flag. Now you can see a proper animation. You can change the timings. You can even change it to 0.5 seconds. So you can see the change in output very fast. Yeah. So this is how we have changed our costume multiple times, giving just a repeat block. Now still it's not a proper animation because there is a plain background. There is no music into it. So first let us add a backdrop for this. For that, I want everyone to follow my instructions properly. At your bottom right corner, you will have a backdrop icon. At your bottom right corner, you will have a backdrop icon. I think everyone are following me. Click on that backdrop icon. So backdrop is nothing but backgrounds. So that is what's specified in Sprite. So I'll just say again, go to your bottom right, click on backdrop. So you again have a wide variety of backgrounds for your animation. So ballerina is dancing. So there should be an appropriate background for ballerina. For that, click on your, I want everyone to mute themselves. Click on your music. So as a ballerina is dancing, there's something music concert animation. So click on your music. So you have 4 types of backdrops available for you: concert, spotlight, theater, and theater 2. Select concert. I'll be selecting concert. You can select any other. I hope everyone are following my instructions. Go to your backdrop, go to your music and select concert, or you can select spotlight or theater 2. It's on you. Come back. Now I have set a stage for ballerina. Click on the green flag. Animation is happening, but still we need a proper animation. For that, we need to add a sound. So for that, what should we do? Go to your sounds block. As we have discussed, sound block palettes helps to add sound for your background music for your animation. Okay, I think everyone have followed me till now. Go to your top left corner. You'll find code, costumes, and then you'll find sounds. I think everyone are following me. Click on your sounds. Click on your sounds on your top left corner. And now you already have a, I think, just give me, yeah, sound has been shared. So there is already a sound available for us, but let us add some other sounds also. For that, at your bottom left corner, you have a choose a sprite icon. I hope everyone are following me. At your bottom left corner, you have a choose a sprite icon. Click on that. I hope everyone have followed me. I'll show it again. Click on it, go on to your sounds and select at your bottom left. You have to select choose a sound. Okay. Now click on loops. You have wide variety of sounds also, but follow my instruction. Click on loops. Click on loops. Now you'll find various dance sounds. You can select any one of them. I'll be selecting dance celeb over here. I hope everyone have followed me. Go to your choose a sound and then go to your loops and then select any one of the sounds. Go back. Now your dance celebration has been selected. Now I want all of you to go to your code block, which is on your top left corner. Click on your code. Now click on your sounds. Okay. Now drag start sound onto this place. I hope everyone are following me. Drag start sound onto this place. So these are like jigsaw puzzles. You have to just attach them. There's no like proper syntax. Just you have to attach them. Then click on your green flag.
Hey.
So now we have successfully created an animation with our ballerina dancing with a background music. So let us view that in full screen. At your top right corner, you have a full screen control icon. At your top right corner, you have a full screen control icon. Click on that. I hope everyone are following me. And then click on your green flag.
Hey.
I hope everyone have followed me till here. So this is how we can do animations in Scratch. But the important thing here is not the animation. The important thing here is that we have used a concept of repeat. What we have done in this repeat, we have just repeated our commands 10 times, or we can even change the number to 5. We can change the number to 7. We can change the number to 12. So we are repeating these codes, commands, multiple number of times. So this concept of repeating the codes is nothing but loops. So in this way, if we introduce graphical user interfaces along with child pedagogy, we can introduce programming concepts like loops, conditional operators in a very child-friendly way. So let me get back to the presentation. Yeah. So now it's very crucial for a student to transmit from GUI coding to terminal programming. I think every one of you have a doubt that if we introduce just a GUI coding, how will a person code? That will be difficult for a child. That may be a question from all of you, some or all of you. I'll address that question now. So if we introduce block-based coding prior to terminal coding, we develop a programming mindset. I'll just show you how. This is a code for for loop. This is a Python block-based tool. So this is a code for loop. So the child need not to type any complex commands. He has to just drag and drop the command. So the only parameters he has to change are the number, how many times you want to repeat the code, and the character I. So this is for loop in block-based tool. Now let us see for loop in terminal programming. As you can see, there is no change between them. So for loop in block-based tool and for loop in terminal programming Python, both are same. So why we are introducing GUI tool is that if we introduce that, the child will read the code and develop a programming mindset, so that when he comes to the terminal programming, he can type the codes in a very easy manner. Yeah, this is the end of the hands-on session. I hope you guys like it. Yeah. I want all of you to give your have your queries in the post chat. All of you can give your queries or doubts in the chat. So we also like for primary students, we don't only do programming like GUI tools only. We also introduce them to terminal programming in class 4. So for class 4, we introduce Python using GUI also with the terminal programming. Coming to class 5, we also introduce HTML programming for them. Yeah. Any questions? Manila ma'am, we have any questions?
Yeah. Now for learning this programming, do the children have to be good at maths?
What I say, no ma'am, it's not required. We will train them, like first we introduce logical and critical thinking, then we move on to algorithmic thinking, which builds the step-by-step procedure. Then we move on to math module, where we train them in math module, and then we move on to graphical user interface.
Any of the participants would like to ask questions? You can unmute yourself. But
sir, how can we do this over phone? Because here we were not able to do over the phone.
We can do it, ma'am, but the interface, there's a problem in mobile phone.
Yeah, because if they don't have access to laptop or desktop, the students. Yes, in phone, if it is easy, it's easy to learn. And in all homes, it will be their mobile phone. Some may not have access to the laptop or desktop.
Very true.
Yeah. This interface also is available in mobile phones, ma'am, but it will be comparing to a laptop, it will be slow. That thing I can see.
Any other questions?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Actually, how many, do they need to take regular classes for this?
Yes,
in a month, how many classes they need to take, sir?
Yeah. Mala, ma'am, you can take this question.
Actually, it's a year-on-year program wherein if you introduce programming or coding as a short-term course, children tend to forget. So it is always important for them to continue year-on-year and increase their complexity levels. It is same like your language, English or maths or Hindi. So initially we start off with these GUI-based tools and then gradually take them on to the higher levels. So a short duration will actually give them just a hands-on, but then they will tend to forget again.
And good afternoon, everyone. And a very warm welcome to Champions INC. My name is Payal Agarwal, and I am a lead instructor in Champions. So previously, I worked in ICSE schools as a computer teacher for secondary years, and I also worked in IT industry. And I also worked as an auditor for various CBSE and ICSE schools. So this is about me, and now let's begin this session. So I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So let's start this session. So you have seen GUI coding for advanced concept of Java. And now let's see the transition from GUI to Java terminal coding. So first of all, let's brush up the concept of nested loop. So nested loop is nothing. It's just a loop inside the another loop. It's called nested loop. So the outer loop, it actually controls your inner loop. And this can be done for all the loops like in if else, do while, for loops. In all the loops, you can use this nested loop concept. So here inner loop always execute first, and once it's over, then only it will execute the outer loop. Flowcharts. So yeah, everyone please mute yourself. So we teach our students to draw flowcharts for every concept. You know, once they understand the concept, then we get them to draw the flowchart and move to the terminal coding. And this is the flowchart of for loop. So you have already seen a triangle drawn using for loop in earlier session. I hope you remember that. So this is the flow of for loop program. And this is the flowchart of nested for loop, how it works. So we have already covered the concept of nested loop in earlier session where we have drawn a beautiful flower. And this is the flowchart of nested for loop. And please note here that inner loop complete first and then only you can execute your outer loop. So now let's draw a pattern program by using nested loop. So first we are going to understand the logic, how we can create this kind of pattern. So for this, what I did, I just convert my diagram or my pattern into a 2D matrix form. So the picture will be more clear. So we teach our students logic first to understand any concept. And this is a very important question. I mean, this type of pattern, which is asked in ICSE 10th standard board exam. So this kind of pattern today we are going to draw. So this is made so simple by explaining nested loop using GUI tools earlier. And this pattern we can create with the help of using two loops. So first loop will work for the rows, which is the horizontal representation. And second loop works for the column, which is the vertical line. And we will use Java loops to create this kind of pattern. Now see how these iterations will work. So here you can see we have inner and outer loop concept. And as the number of rows increases, the number of stars is also increased. So in the first row, 1 star, and in the second row, 2 stars, and so on. So like here you can see as the number of rows we are increasing, the number of stars is also getting increased. So for every iteration of the outer loop, the inner loop executes completely. And look at the way how the stars are formed by inner outer loop iteration. And this is the flow chart of half pyramid pattern, how you can achieve this. Now let us code together in Java and create a half pyramid pattern. So this is the online Java editor which you can use. And you can check the link in your chat box. So everyone, please just check in your chat box. Please use this link for online Java terminal to write your program along with me. And please check your chat box where you will get these links. So I am going to use BlueJ for this. So are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I am going to use this software to write my program, but you can use online editor because this kind of software you have to install first, then only you can work. So for this, you can use online editor, the same program you have to write. So just check in the chat box, paste the link in your browser and press enter.
Ma'am, in the link the editor opened has 2-3 lines of coding for hello world.
Yeah,
Shall
yeah.
we delete that?
Yeah, you can delete, or you can delete the system.out.println, that statement, because initial two things, it will be there.
Okay.
I'm also going to write, yeah. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to create my new class. So here I need to give my program name. And now my class has been created. Now I'm going to open my editor. Yeah, please mute yourself. So this is my editor where I am going to write my program. So like this, on your screen, one editor is there where you can also write your program. So first line will be the class and class name. And second, we are going to call our main program. So for this, public static void main, which is already there in your program. Java is a case sensitive language. So here you can see string S is capital. So if you put it into the small letter, then it will show error. Okay, this much you have on your screen. Now, what I'm going to do, I will initialize my variable. Okay, so two variables I need, one for the row and second for the column. So int space I, comma, j, semicolon. Okay, I hope you are able to follow me. I just wrote one instruction, int space I, comma, j, semicolon. So I and j are my two variables. I am going to use for printing the number of rows, and j I'm going to print the number of columns. Then go to the next line. And then we are going to start with our loop. First loop, which is an outer loop. So for, in my loop, I'm going to write three parameters. So first will be the initial value, I equals to 0, semicolon. Then you have to write your condition, I less than equals to 5, 6. It's up to you how many number of rows you want to print. Semicolon, I plus plus to update the value of your variable every time. I hope you are able to follow me. I'm just going to repeat myself. This is my outer loop. So you have to write for, in the brackets, you have to pass three parameters. First will be the initial value, I equals to 0, semicolon. Then I less than equals to 5. This is a condition. How many times I want to repeat my loop. And then I plus plus. Every time the value of I has to be increased by 1. I hope everyone is able to follow me till this part.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are going to start with our second loop. Second loop, we are going to write for the column. So same thing for, and this time my variable is j. And again, three parameters you need to pass in a similar way. So j equals to 0, which is the initial value of my variable. And then my condition, j less than equals to I. Why this condition? Because as the number of I is increasing, the number of stars is also increasing. Like first line, 1 star, second line, 2 stars. So the value of j will be depend upon the I. And then j plus plus. Okay, this is your nested loop, outer loop and inner loop. And if the condition is true, then what it's going to be print? It's going to be print my star. So system dot out dot print. In double quotes, you have to write within the double quotes what you are going to print. Yeah, please mute yourself. So here you can see we have used two loops. One is the outer loop, second one is the inner loop. And once your inner loop condition is true, it will print your star. System S is capital, please remember this. System dot out dot print, then brackets. And within the double quotes, you have to write your star, which you are going to print, and then semicolon. I hope you are able to follow me till this part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now go to next line and close this. How to close? Just put a curly brace. Okay, so now this statement is closed. Now I'm going to write my next statement. So my next statement will be that once my first row is complete, then my cursor should move to the next line. So how you can go to the next line? So again, system dot out dot print ln. ln, this time I'm using ln. ln denotes it's a next line. And then same bracket, semicolon. Okay. And then just close. How many brackets you have opened, just close all the brackets. Okay, so this is our program. So I'm just going to repeat myself. First, I just wrote class space class name, my program name. And then I just call my main program, public static void main. Okay, and then you have to initialize your variable. I'm going to use two variables here, and the name of variable is I and j. And then we wrote one loop, which is for the rows, number of rows, and second loop for the number of columns. And then once my condition is true, it will print the star. And one condition is false, it will get exit from this inner loop, and the cursor should move to the next line. Okay, and now I'm going to compile this. There is no syntax error. So in your online editor, directly you can run your program. So for me, I'm going to the screen and I have to click this button. And this is the star pattern. So you are using online terminal. So in that you will get directly a run button. You just click on that and then you're able to see the output. So I hope everyone is able to follow this program. I'm going to show the program one more time. If anything you want to note it down, you can check here. Everyone is able to follow?
Yes, I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. So in this manner, you can create a different kinds of pattern. Okay, so this kind of lovely pattern in Java you can get by using nested loop concept. So I hope this session would be informative and interesting for you. And if any queries there, you can please post your query in the chat box. Okay, thank you. And over to you, Mala ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amita. Thank you, Payal. So I'm going to share my screen. Just wanted to discuss regarding the training sessions on 27th and 28th October. So we are going to have 2 training sessions for your students in your school. So please note this down. 27th October, we will be having a training session from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. for classes 2 and 3. We will be teaching them block-based coding, and there will be a small competition. At the end of that, they will have to submit. They will have to create something of their own based on the concepts that we teach them, and submit their block-based program. And 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. the same day, we will be having it for classes 4 and 5. We will start them on Python, in fact, and they will start coding in Python. And they will also have to create something and submit it. 28th October, we'll again continue with the training session. So in the morning time frame for classes 6 and 7, and 3 to 4:30 p.m., 8, 9th and 10th. So this will be a training session along with a small competition or a contest. So they will have to submit whatever they have been taught. They have to create a concept based on that and also submit it. So this is the session. And again, I would like to come back to, if you have any queries, not technical you can ask us, but if you have anything, if you want to implement this as a part of your school, or you have any other queries in the implementation part of it, you can contact our partners, Innovative Classroom and Crazy Holidays. Please note down the email IDs and the contact numbers. So I hope you had a very informative session. So thank you so much. And now we leave the floor open for questions.
Ma'am, you told for students there is this one, no, on 27th and 28th. They have to register, ma'am.
Yes. So that pamphlet would be sent across to your schools.
Okay.
So you can do it.
Because we need the details. That's why.
Yeah, regarding the clarification, now it will be uploaded on Sahodaya website shortly, and you can ask your principal to check and let you know. So it is different workshops for different classes. So it would be nice if children can join and understand about coding. So it will be uploaded on Bangalore Sahodaya. You may inform your principals.
The this one, ma'am, course that day?
Yes. No, it is just a hands-on experience about coding for 2nd and 3rd separate, 4, 5, 6, 7 separate, 8, 9, 10th it's separate, like that.
Okay, ma'am.